All right, let's get you the big story. All eyes, of course, continue to be on Maharashtra, where the Shiv Sena rebel Eknath Shinde took oath as the Maharashtra Chief Minister with Shinde-Fadnavis, his deputy, on Thursday, as the BJP capped a coup that unseated Uddhav Thackeray a day ago with back-to-back curveballs and hitting the ground running. The new Chief Minister held his first cabinet meeting just hours after being sworn in with the new Maharashtra Chief Minister, Eknath Shinde, and Shinde-Fadnavis as his Deputy Chief Minister in a role reversal. Now, a two-day special session of the Maharashtra legislature will be held from the 2nd of July. And with Uddhav Thackeray defanged, what's next? The next stop, the BMC. All eyes are on the polls to the prestigious cash-rich body which the Shiv Sena has controlled for the past 25 years. Meanwhile, Eknath Shinde has now returned to Goa to meet with his MLAs after being sworn in. Shiv Sena's Eknath Shinde took oath as the new Chief Minister of Maharashtra last night and is now back in Goa to be with his party leaders. Akshay Dongre is on the ground there in Goa monitoring all of this. Akshay, these rebel MLAs in Goa right now have been standing with Eknath Shinde during the rebellion against Uddhav Thackeray with all the fast twists and turns over the past week, and they could not be there at the swearing in yesterday. Eknath Shinde now going back to them after he was sworn in.
Well, absolutely, Sarah, and this was a move that was unlikely. But then again, yesterday was a day of unlikely events. First, Eknath Shinde became Chief Minister, was become the Deputy Chief Minister, and he was one of the Deputy Chief Minister. And then the MLAs, they said they had they conducted yesterday in Goa. They had said that they do not expect Eknath Shinde to come to Goa because he has new responsibilities, and just to please them, him coming to Goa would in fact not be very wise. So irrespective of that, Eknath Shinde came back to Goa. He flew to Goa late last night, and then he met all of the supporters. He was welcomed by the MLAs that are holed up still in Goa. Now, the question is, why exactly the MLAs are still staying in Goa? And now that Eknath Shinde has become the Chief Minister, why don't they just go back to Mumbai? Why don't they just fly back to Mumbai? So there are a lot of things that the MLAs are saying. First of all, on Saturday there is assembly session that has been called in Maharashtra, and that exactly is the reason that the MLAs want directly to appear at the assembly session that is going to take place on Saturday. The second thing is that a lot of these MLAs have been saying that Saturday is a auspicious day, and they would like to start their session, their new chapter in their politics from Saturday. So all of these theories they have been reiterating, but the real question, the real answer remains to be answered, that why do they want to stay here in Goa till Saturday, whether there are more surprises as far as this entire political saga is concerned. But so far, the rebel MLA camp, in fact, that has become almost part of the government, that is staying in Goa, and most likely Eknath Shinde coming in, portfolios is going to be discussed among these rebel MLAs, because who gets what? That is also a big question, that who will be getting the important portfolios, who will be keeping the Home Ministry, who will be keeping the Finance Ministry. All that has to be decided among the MLAs, because since the BJP is not being seen as a very active player as far as the government formation is concerned. BJP has said that it doesn't need post. It has even given up the Chief Minister post to Eknath Shinde. Most of the portfolios will have to be divided among the rebel camp. So that is the major thing, that while the government has been formed, now the big task for Eknath Shinde will be to keep the flock together. And remember, they still haven't claimed Shiv Sena. So as far as the party symbol is concerned, as far as the party's name is concerned, they still remain with Uddhav Thackeray. So that is going to be a big challenge, that when exactly are these MLAs, rebel MLAs, going to claim that, or whether they will start a new chapter with a new party in Maharashtra.
All right, so time for everyone to get their pound of flesh, and those videos you're seeing yes, on your screens are all from yesterday. Yesterday, Mr. Shinde spoke to those MLAs via a video call and they were related to receive a call from their leader, seen waving to him. They were chanting, Eknath Shinde, we are with you. Earlier, another video showed these MLAs sequestered in that resort in Goa, erupting in celebration, seen dancing in what appears to be a banquet hall, watching the news briefing on a giant screen and then bursting into celebration where they heard that Mr. Shinde will be replacing Mr. Thackeray as the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, as that announcement was made by the BJP's Shinde-Fadnavis. And a day after the swearing-in ceremony, two opposition leaders are facing the heat. Sanjay Raut is to appear before the Enforcement Directorate at noon, and Sharad Pawar says that he has been served a notice from the IT department, that's the income tax department. This system, he has tweeted about this, and I'm just going to read out his tweet. He says it's a system that's used for people with different political views, that he has received a similar, quote, love letter from the income tax department. They are now investigating the information contained in the affidavit while contesting the 2004 Lok Sabha elections. All right, remember he had in April hit out at the BJP saying that central probe agencies were being used in a big way in Maharashtra and in Bengal. And Sharad Pawar said, and I'm quoting, who are ruling the country wanted power in these two states at any cost. This is what Sharad Pawar's, the NCP chief, had said in an attack on the BJP in April. And the Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut is to appear before the Enforcement Directorate office today. The ED had sent him a second summons to appear before the 1st of July after he failed to appear in his first summons on Monday due to the then political crisis in Maharashtra. Mr. Raut is being probed in connection with the redevelopment of Mumbai's Patra Chawl. His lawyer had sought 13 to 14 days' time to present the documents in front of the probe agency. However, that request was declined by the agency. So it was a day of shockers, and barely 3 hours after Devendra Fadnavis renounced any position in the new Maharashtra government, his party said otherwise. He must be Deputy Chief Minister, said the BJP President JP Nadda, dealing the second shocker of the day, and that he said he would personally request him. The first jaw-dropper, of course, was that decision announced by Mr. Fadnavis himself that Eknath Shinde and not he would be the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. The morning had begun with the media reporting that Mr. Fadnavis would take oath as Chief Minister with Mr. Shinde as his next in command. But he then said that he would stay out of the government and ensure that it runs smoothly. That was Mr. Fadnavis at a news briefing around 4:30 p.m. announcing that only Mr. Shinde will be sworn in later that evening. However, barely 3 hours later, he was seen taking the oath as Mr. Shinde's deputy after the BJP chief JP Nadda said he must do so and that he would personally request him. All right, let's shift focus. Let's change gears here. Let's move across to Udaipur, where two men accused of that horrific tailor's murder in broad daylight were presented in court amidst heavy security on Thursday. The two men accused of the murder have been sent to 14 days custody, and identification of the two will be held in the jail. This was even as crowds shouted slogans against the accused in that court in Udaipur, and Udaipur still on alert as a curfew continues, though a religious procession of Lord Jagannath is to be taken out in the city. Let's go across to Harsha Kumari Singh. Harsha, what is the update on the ground, and will there, I'm assuming there will be heavy police deployment for a yatra that is to be taken out despite a curfew continuing in Udaipur and lots of other arrangements in place on the ground to ensure that nothing untoward takes place?
Yes, absolutely, Sarah. This is going to definitely be a bit of a flashpoint for the administration today. They've had a series of meetings yesterday with different communities, different groups, and trying to ensure that, you know, the situation normalizes, because a lot of feelings and fervor is attached to this yatra. But very, very interestingly, before I elaborate on that, Sarah, the other breaking news from Udaipur is that 32 IPS officers have been transferred in Rajasthan, and the SP and the IG of Udaipur have both been moved out. Now remember, Kanhaiya Lal, the tailor who was brutally murdered the day he went back to work in his shop, had not for a week because he was receiving threats over some posts on social media, and he had flagged that to the police in writing on the 15th of June, and the police had in fact actually brokered a compromise. So that local police station, the station house inspector in charge and the ASI who mediated the compromise have both been suspended, but now the moving out of both the IG and the SP is actually quite a clear message from the Gehlot government that they acknowledge the fact somewhere that there was a negligence and a lapse in this entire murder, and they did not provide security to Kanhaiya Lal. So that's the other big breaking headline from Udaipur, apart of course from the fact that this Jagannath Yatra is definitely a flashpoint of concern for authorities here. Today it's going to get underway in the afternoon and will probably end late in the evening. Sarah.
All right, so the Udaipur IG and the SP also moved out, reporting there. Harsha, we'll come back to you, Harsha, for constant updates. Meanwhile, the lawyer, as those two accused were presented in court, one of the lawyers in court has called them terrorists.
राजस्थान पुलिस द्वारा जरिए पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर मेरे कपिल टोडावत द्वारा जैसी रिमांड के लिए न्यायालय में पत्रावली पेश की गई, जिस पर न्यायालय द्वारा 13 जुलाई तक आतंकवादियों को जैसी रिमांड के लिए जेल में भेजा गया। रिमांड की डिमांड अब करेंगे क्योंकि उसमें अभी तफ्तीश बाकी है, उसमें शनाख्ती होनी बाकी है। शनाख्ती जैसे कि बात जाने के बाद ही होती है, तो अभी शनाख्ती कराने के बाद फ्यूचर में जो एजेंसी रहती है या फिर यही एजेंसी रहती है, पुलिस कस्टडी के अधिकारों को सुरक्षित रखते हुए उन्होंने जैसी मांगा है, फ्यूचर में पीसी वापस पुलिस ले सकती है। आरोपियों को न्यायालय द्वारा पूछा गया आपके चोटें लग रही है, कैसे लगी, तो उन्होंने कहा मैं हमारे पहले से लगी हुई है। उनका बिहेवियर सामान्य था, जिससे उन्होंने कुछ किया नहीं हो। ये बड़ी गंभीर और आश्चर्य की बात है।
And the Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot has said that he hopes that the NIA will wrap up the investigations in this matter soon, within a month, putting a deadline there. He's also requested that the Prime Minister address the nation, appealing for peace, saying that there has been a rise in communal strife in the country.
पूरे देश में भी माहौल काफी संवेदनशील है। जब से नुपुर शर्मा का वो बयान आया है, कई जगह घटनाएं हुए हैं, लोग अरेस्ट भी हुए हैं। जिस दिन पूरी घटना हुई थी, आपने कहा था कि प्रधानमंत्री मोदी को आकर के देश को एड्रेस करना चाहिए। उस बारे में आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
मैं फिर रिपीट करूंगा, इसमें कोई राजनीति नहीं है। पूरे देश के अंदर नुपुर शर्मा की तो एक बात है, उसके अलावा भी एक लंबे अरसे से जो हालात बन रहे हैं ध्रुवीकरण की राजनीति में, उससे हर मोहल्ले में, हर कस्बे में, हर जिले में, हर पूरे देश के अंदर तनाव का माहौल है। वो नहीं होना चाहिए। जहाँ तनाव होगा वहाँ विकास रुक जाता है, चाहे परिवार हो, चाहे गांव हो, चाहे जिला हो, चाहे प्रदेश हो, चाहे देश हो। मैं बार बार रिक्वेस्ट मैं नहीं कर रहा हूँ, पूरा विपक्ष कर रहा है। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी की बात की एक वजन रहता है। कोई मुख्यमंत्री बोलता है प्रदेश में, उसका वजन प्रदेश में रहता है। आज प्रधानमंत्री जी मोदी जी अपील करेंगे प्रदेश देशवासियों से, उसका असर होगा। एक बार उन्होंने अपील करी थी, आपको याद होगा, सरकार बनते ही जब लीचिंग हुई थी राजस्थान में, तब उन्होंने कंडेम किया था उनको। उसका असर पड़ा उस वक्त में, लोगों ने वेलकम किया। आज जो माहौल बन गया है टेंशन का, हिंसा का, उसका एक ही रास्ता है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी खुद मोदी जी अपील करे कि पूरे देश में शांति, सद्भाव, भाईचारा रहे, और किसी कीमत पे मैं हिंसा को बर्दाश्त नहीं करूंगा। और मैं राज्य सरकारों को भी कह रहा हूँ, कोई हिंसा देखें, कोई जाति हो, कोई धर्म हो, कोई पार्टी हो पॉलिटिकल, अगर कोई हिंसा करता है तो बिना भेदभाव के आप उनके खिलाफ सख्त कार्रवाई करो। ये मैसेज जाएगा तो जाके वापस जो पारा चढ़ गया ऊपर वो नीचे आएगा, थोड़ी शांति होगी देश के अंदर और ये घटनाएं बंद होगी। ये घटना तो आतंकवादी घटना भी हो गई है, बाकी घटनाएं कहीं चाकू लग रहा है, कहीं तलवार लग रही है। इस मुल्क में किस जिले में क्या हो रहा है सब खबरें दिल्ली तक पहुंचती नहीं है, राजधानी तक आती नहीं है। कितने लोग परेशान होते होंगे। जिस मोहल्ले में माइनॉरिटी के लोग रहते हैं, चाहे वो हिंदू है या मुस्लिम है, और मेजॉरिटी रहती है वहाँ पर, तो जो माइनॉरिटी वाले जो हिंदू होंगे वो घबराए हुए पता नहीं कल क्या हो जाएगा, अगर मुस्लिम कोई माइनॉरिटी में वो घबराए पता नहीं कल क्या हो जाएगा। ये माहौल बन चुका है, इसको भारत सरकार को स्वीकार आज नहीं तो कल करना पड़ेगा और प्रधानमंत्री जी को अपील करनी पड़ेगी, मेरा मानना है।
Meanwhile, the Home Minister Amit Shah performed an Aarti of Lord Jagannath in Ahmedabad. He's on a 2-day visit to Gujarat, participating in these Rath Yatra celebrations, presiding over various government events. Heavy security has been deployed on the route of the Yatra, in which lakhs of people are expected to participate. We're going to go in for a short break. The rest of the news from around the country is still to come. Don't go away. Welcome back. Good morning, India. Let's go around the country and get you up to date with all the news at this hour. First and foremost, rescue operations are still on to find at least 50 missing, of whom 23 are TA Jawans. At least 8 people have been killed. 50 others are feared missing after a massive landslide hit a town in western Manipur's Noney district. The incident took place at the 107 Territorial Army camp near the Tupul Yard railway construction site on Wednesday night. Of the 8 killed, 7 are reportedly members of the Territorial Army. The Territorial Army provides security to a railway line being built from the Jirbam district to the state capital, Imphal. Ratnadeep joins us now for more on this grim story that we're reporting from Manipur. So, Ratnadeep, the clock is ticking. It's now been over 24 hours since this massive landslide. What can you tell us about the rescue and relief operations that are underway? What are the expectations and what are the challenges that the authorities are facing as they try and find out more about these at least 50 people who are feared missing?
That's right. In fact, what we can first confirm to our viewers is that now the number of people who are missing is above 55. That's what official sources are telling us. The death toll, the recovery confirmed death toll is 8. However, a few other sources are telling us that actually the death toll might be in double figures because a lot of bodies are being recovered. The massive operation, massive search search and rescue operation is underway. Remember, what is happening there is that this is a very remote place. The place is called Tupul. Railway station is being built there, and what has happened on Wednesday night is that because of heavy rainfall over the week, what official sources have told us that there was a massive rainfall in the area, and on top of the hill, there was an accumulation of a lot of water, and then that resulted in a massive landslide, and the entire under construction railway station, the camps of the construction workers, the NH Railway officials and officials from the construction company, and the camps of the Territorial Army, which is a wing of the Indian Army, which guards the camp, which guards that construction area because it's in a remote location where which is infested by insurgents as well. In that area, what has happened is the entire area has been submerged by massive landslides. So, since last morning, the rescue operations had started initially by the locals and the district administration, and now it is a multi-agency rescue operation led by the Indian Army. Assam Rifles, NDRF has reached there. The State Disaster Response Force is already there. In fact, Chief Minister N. Biren Singh was there yesterday, and he's again going to the site of the accident. The Eastern Army Commander is also there. So a massive operation is there, but what we can confirm is 8 deaths are confirmed. This death toll government sources are saying will go high. More than 55 people are missing. Of them, about 23 to 25 are from Territorial Army, and the rest are civilians from the railways, from the construction company, the construction laborers, and about 20 people have been recovered. Of them, 14 people are injured, some of them very critically injured. They have been airlifted to the Army hospital in Imphal.
All right, Ratnadeep, bringing us the details on that rescue operation underway under very, very difficult circumstances. Meanwhile, of course, all of these landslides being sparked off because of the monsoons. The monsoon showers brought reprieve to North India. However, it has also meant traffic snarls and waterlogging. Here's the lowdown from the day.
Massive waterlogging and traffic jams across Delhi after over 100 mm of rain in just 6 hours as the monsoon arrived in India's capital. This South Delhi road was flooded all day, compelling several commuters to abandon their two-wheelers and try all possible options to reach their offices.
बाइक पीछे एक्चुअली आ नहीं पा रही, साइलेंसर में पानी पूरा भर जा रहा है, स्टार्ट नहीं हो पा रही है. बाकी बस वगैरह से हम लोग आए थे, बस भी वहीं पे डिस्टर्ब हो गई है. पूरा करीब 1 किलोमीटर का रेंज है, डिस्टेंस उसको कवर कर रहे हैं.
पीछे ही खड़े करके आए हैं. एक्चुअली क्या है कि इतनी डेंजरस एरिया है कि रास्ते में पता नहीं कहाँ गड्ढे हो क्या हो. बाइक लेके आओ, कैसा सेफ रहेगा नहीं रहेगा, इसी वजह से मजबूरी है. ऑफिस जाना भी मजबूरी है, क्या कर सकते हैं.
Some flights en route to Delhi were diverted because of the heavy rain, while several others were delayed. The monsoon hit Delhi 3 days behind schedule, but more rain is predicted this week.
The usual date of monsoon reaching Delhi is June 27, but it has delayed somewhat because since last 1 week we have seen westerly winds halting the monsoon over western parts of Bihar.
Tell us, what about the kind of rain, the kind of monsoon season that we can expect in the national capital?
Yeah, monsoon season in Delhi will be satisfactory. Now rain activities will be good in the month of July and August.
The monsoon has brought the much needed relief for Delhiites, and the IMD has predicted that moderate rainfall will take place tomorrow as well and will bring down the average temperature in Delhi. But with waterlogged streets like these, commuters are set to face problems because of those as well. In New Delhi with camera person Manoj Thakur, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
Good morning, India. Let's get you a wrap on the top story of the day. The Shiv Sena rebel Eknath Shinde took his oath as the Maharashtra Chief Minister with Shinde-Fadnavis as his deputy on a Thursday in a role reversal as the BJP capped the coup that unseated Uddhav Thackeray a day ago with back-to-back curveballs and hitting the ground running. The new Chief Minister held his first cabinet meeting just hours after swearing in with the new Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde and Shinde-Fadnavis in a role reversal, and now a 2-day special session of the Maharashtra legislature will be held from the 2nd of July. So what's next? Uddhav Thackeray defanged, so is the next stop the BMC. All eyes also on the polls for the prestigious cash-rich body which the Shiv Sena has controlled for the past 25 years. And first on the agenda for the Chief Minister, well, he has returned to Goa to meet with his MLAs after being sworn in. He took oath as the new Chief Minister last night and right now is back with those party leaders, those rebel MLAs in Goa who have been standing by him, standing with him during the rebellion against Uddhav Thackeray. They were not able to be with him for that swearing in. They joined in via video calls. We saw video calls that were accessed by NDTV showing them elated to receive a call from their leader. Even as he is being sworn in, you could see them waving at him, them chanting Eknath Shinde, we are with you. Let's go across to Akshay Dongre, who is in Goa. So Akshay, all of those grand surprises, we had those videos of those MLAs cheering and dancing away in glee as those googlies were played out yesterday with Eknath Shinde then being announced as the Chief Minister. But now it's time to get back to the brass attacks and the agenda on the table. Who will get what ministry?
Well, exactly, Sarah. That in fact is the next challenge. Also, to in fact keep every member of this camp that in fact has defected from the government earlier. That is going to be a task for Eknath Shinde and for the government that has formed in Maharashtra. And now, also, the second task will be about legitimacy as far as the government is concerned. Because the Eknath Shinde camp has been saying that they are the real Shiv Sena. They have been saying that they have 2/3 majority, so they should be the legislature party. And we saw yesterday during the press conference, Deepak Sarkar, one of the leaders of the rebel faction, has been saying that they have a chief whip. They have appointed a chief whip. They have a legislature party leader who is Eknath Shinde, and the whip had asked for all of these MLAs to be present yesterday at the hotel in Goa, and clearly there will be a fight between the Uddhav Thackeray camp and the Eknath Shinde camp over legitimacy, over who exactly has the legitimate right over Shiv Sena, whether it is Uddhav Thackeray, who is a son of Balasaheb Thackeray, who former chief minister, or will it be Eknath Shinde, who is now the chief minister of Maharashtra and the leader of the rebel faction, who in fact has over 2/3 majority in terms of MLA. So whether the MLAs will stay here before the assembly meeting takes place on Saturday, that remains to be seen. But all the MLAs are for now in Goa. And the plan to return back, to Maharashtra, to Mumbai, is according to the rebel faction tomorrow, when the assembly takes place in Maharashtra Legislative Assembly.
Akshay Dongre reporting there. Thanks for that update. We'll come back to you, but we'll stay with elections. Switch focus to the race to Raisina Hill. The opposition candidate Yashwant Sinha spoke to NDTV. He says it's a battle of principles more than politics. Now, while the numbers may be stacked against him or may be in favor of the NDA candidate, Mr. Yashwant Sinha saying don't rule out anything yet.
Well, the presidential election is on the 18th of July and it's become quite a prestige contest, even though the NDA has the numbers to see Draupadi Murmu through, with Yashwant Sinha becoming the consensus candidate of opposition parties. Mr. Sinha joins us on NDTV now to talk more about that and the significance of his nomination. Mr. Sinha, thanks very much for joining us. Firstly, why did you agree to accept the nomination?
I don't see any reason why I shouldn't have. People are saying that I was the fourth choice of the opposition parties, and I said in my press conference yesterday that even if I was the 10th choice, I would have accepted, because this is a principled fight. It is a fight which will determine the course of politics in the coming years, and therefore I wanted to be a part of it, and I am in the fray.
But Mr. Sinha, the NDA do seem to have the numbers on their side. So is this, would you acknowledge, a tough battle?
Every battle, every electoral battle, Nidhi, is a tough battle. No election is easy. If the media has already come to the conclusion that the government nominee has the numbers, my answer to that question is that in that case we should not have an election. We should go out, ask the media who has got the numbers, and then let that person be elected, declared elected or selected or whatever. I would like to tell you who votes in the election of the Rashtrapati. It's the MLAs and the MPs, isn't it? There is no whip in this election, and it's a secret ballot. Why has the Constitution made this provision that there will be no whip and it will be a secret ballot? Because the Constitution wanted the electors, MPs and MLAs, to vote according to their conscience, not necessarily according to the decision of the party. And I'd like to tell you that parties should be very careful about how they decide the vote of their electors in this election, because it's a secret ballot.
So you're saying that the outcome is not a foregone conclusion?
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me also tell you that even if it was a foregone conclusion, I would still be in the fight, because this election, as I said, is more than the election of for the Rashtrapati of India. It is a beginning of a political fight between the government and the opposition.
But Mr. Sinha, wouldn't you say that opposition disunity has also been exposed? You know, the NDA choice has also put the JMM, for instance, in a spot. They may go with the NDA's choice as a result of that. And then you have fence-sitters like Naveen Patnaik, who've also felt compelled to go with the BJP's choice. So has this exposed cracks in the opposition camp as well?
Naveen Patnaik was not invited to the meeting of the opposition parties. Naveen Patnaik has always followed his own path. My take on this is that it's wrong to consider Naveen Patnaik as an opposition party. Just as YSR is not an opposition party, they have always been with the government, and therefore we should not be surprised that Biju Janata Dal and YSR are with the government in this election. At least I am not surprised. As far as the other opposition parties are concerned, including JMM, they were part of the decision in which, or the meeting in which decision was taken to put me up as a candidate. And I hope they'll stick to their commitment and not change their view in the matter. And let me also tell you that much is being made of the identity of the ruling party candidate, isn't it? There have been candidates for the election of Rashtrapati who belong to the scheduled tribe. There has been a woman who belonged to the scheduled caste. Never before have I seen identity politics being played in the manner in which it is being played today. And this shows the weakness of the BJP. They are all hiding behind their candidates' tribal identity, Mahila identity and all that. It shows a lack of confidence in them, because this is not how the Rashtrapati election will be fought, either now or in future, or it has been fought in the past. So therefore, it is not a question of identity, her identity and my identity. It's a question of the track record of the candidates. It's a question of who will make a better Rashtrapati.
Well, you're making an interesting point here that they're hiding behind her tribal identity. You wouldn't think that she would make a good president regardless of that? What do you think of Draupadi Murmu otherwise?
No, why should I offer an opinion on that? I can only tell you that ever since I was declared as the joint candidate of the opposition parties, you have seen that I've been out there. I've been out there facing the media day after day, hour after hour. Even today, after I have filed my nomination, yesterday and today I am facing the media. She filed her nomination on the 24th of June. Have you been able to talk to her?
No.
There you are. That says a lot.
So how do you think that this battle will shape up opposition politics ahead of 2024? I'm sure that you'd concede that significant challenges remain.
Of course they remain. Who has said that the path forward is easy? Everyone knows that the way forward is difficult, but I think a beginning has been made. I am confident it will not stop here, and the opposition parties will remain together and work on a common program to challenge the government. 2024 will be a very interesting election.
All right, Mr. Yashwant Sinha, good luck for your election and that presidential poll. Thanks very much for joining us on NDTV.
Welcome back. Let's get you up to date with the international news right now. And Yair Lapid has become Israel's interim Prime Minister, taking over former PM Naftali Bennett after just 1 year. Lapid, the head of a centrist party, will now lead the country as it heads towards elections on the 1st of November. Now, it follows the collapse last week of the coalition that he had formed with Mr. Bennett. Now, these upcoming elections are going to be Israel's 5th in less than 4 years. Mr. Lapid faces a tough challenge from the former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has vowed to return to power. I beg your pardon. Although the new Prime Minister has previously said that he is committed to a two-state solution to the conflict with the Palestinians, he is unlikely to begin any bold new initiatives. As an interim leader, Israel has seen a record-setting cycle of elections since April 2019, as parties time and time again have failed to secure enough seats to form a governing coalition with a majority. The Lapid-Bennett coalition temporarily broke the stalemate. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that the withdrawal of Russian forces from Snake Island would significantly change the situation in the Black Sea. In his regular evening address, Zelensky says that the pullout would limit Russia's activities but acknowledged that it would not guarantee safety in the Black Sea area yet. The Kremlin has portrayed the pullout from Snake Island as a goodwill gesture. Mr. Zelensky also reconfirmed that the situation remained difficult in Donbass. Russian troops and their separatist allies control 95% of Luhansk and about half of Donetsk, the two provinces that make up the mostly Russian-speaking Donbass.
Острів Зміїний – це стратегічний пункт, і це значно змінює ситуацію в Чорному морі. Це ще не гарантує безпеку, це ще не гарантує, що ворог не повернеться, але це вже значно обмежує дії окупантів. Крок за кроком ми витиснемо їх з нашого моря, з нашої землі, з нашого неба. Ситуація на Донбасі залишається найбільш жорсткою, надзвичайно тяжкою. Вогнева перевага окупантів досі дуже відчувається. Вони дістали вже просто все зі своїх запасів, щоб бити по нам. По Луганщині, по Донеччині.